All right, guys, I am on for a little bit. I guess I would come on live and do some of these bluegill. This is a finished version. Well, not completely finished. This one needs the eyes and the clear coat, and it would be good to go. So what I think I'm going to do today is lateral line just the rest of the light green ones that don't have anything on them. I'm going to get that out of the way. We are getting down to almost finishing these. So what I did when I went off live the last time was I did all of the little fine details and stuff just to get these out of the way. And I want to move on to the next pattern. Bluegill, for me, done correctly, usually takes the longest because there's so many layers to make them look nice. I'm not saying that there's a right way or a wrong way, but I notice with people who probably feel the same way, they get down to like layer 7 or 8 and they are ready to be done with it. And then that's where you see those weird rush jobs. Like I said, a bluegill pattern, there's no technical right way or wrong way, but that would be the only issue is how long it takes to do. So I'm gonna knock these out. Hopefully today or tomorrow we should be wrapping this up and moving to the next pattern that I would like to try. And the next pattern is going to be a koi fish, something a little more simpler in comparison to these bluegills that are like many layers. I think I counted the koi fish model I have in mind. It's probably roughly 7 layers, whereas this bluegill we are well into like 13 or 14 different layers, color schemes, and patterns to make it look as close to a bluegill as possible. But we're getting ready to wrap this show up. So today I'm just going to do the lateral lines on all of the light green ones that don't have them yet. What I'm doing now is just locking them into place. Hi there, hi there. I'm assuming you're not new, especially being that you said again. That means you've been around. How is everything? All right. So as you can see, the lateral lines are on the actual metal mesh and not on the lure. That's kind of giving me like a guideline to follow from the first 5 that I did. So I'm gonna do these the same way. Shake this up real quick. Now, there are swim baits that I am making for an upcoming event or expo to sell at. And I'm just trying to get through these so that I can move on to the next set. But this is what we're doing. We're adding lateral lines on this version that is not complete, just to get all of them caught up to the same speed to look like this when it's almost done and ready to be clear coated. So that's what I'm doing. All right, that medium is gonna work. I've been working on this one for the past 3 lives, I believe. Could be 4, just because of how long it takes to do 10 at a time. Here's my scale pattern that I cut up with a Cricut machine, and I'm getting ready to call it the wrong material. Begins with an M, but it's a little stiffer in comparison to some of the stuff that's been coming out lately. The answer to your question about fish sticks, no, I do not. I've hated them things since elementary school. Do you like them? All right, let's see how that one looks. The tricky part about it is you can't really tell because the mesh has already been used. So if I show you, kind of hard to see. Well, no, in comparison to the other side, you definitely can see the difference. Well, I don't know about on screen, but I can see the difference because the lines are a lot darker on this side. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and knock out this side real quick before showing you. Actually, what I think I'm gonna do is go ahead and spray both sides and get it out the way. I kind of want to go slightly bigger on those lateral lines and space them out, but I'll stick to these small ones just because I started with the small ones on all of the others. Have you been here before? Because I've seen that comparison made a couple of lives ago. And it ended up going down the rabbit hole to Kimbo Slice. But that gave away the age bracket when everyone started talking about the beard ordeal. So I don't know if you were there or here for that. Also, one thing I want to tell you guys that are actually paying attention or maybe wanting to attempt bluegill. So what I do is I don't take the lateral line all the way to the top of the fin. I kind of stop just probably about a quarter inch, maybe not even a quarter inch. I don't go all the way to the top because what I end up doing is going across the top and having the scale pattern bleed into the actual lateral lines versus lateral lines straight to the top. Probably could show you better on one of the other ones that's already done, but I kind of want to get this over and done with and move on to the next set of lures. Maybe I should heat set these. This is the part where it's going to get loud. I didn't put a warning in the title. I felt like by this time, a few different ones. The one that I'm using at the moment is the Sotar 2020 medium. I have the whole complete set of Soltars, the medium, the fine, and the heavy. Then I have this Extreme Patriot with the bigger cup, a smaller version of it, and then this little guy, which is also Badger, which I thought was the knockoff, is a Omni 5000. This one here I use to do my base coat with, but I am strictly Badger at the moment, even though I think I'm getting ready to say the wrong name. I want to say the owner name is Frank. I told him a few years ago he should really put that cap on the front that our water uses. I guess that might be a copyright thing or something he just don't want to do with his brushes. I only wanted to do that reverse mix technique that I can do in an eye water. I think I'll eventually get an eye water itself and just not keep putting it off. All right, man. Take care. No, I am painting bluegill swim baits. That's an unfinished one, but here is something close to finished to give you an idea of what the end goal would be without the eyes and the clear coat. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Ran out. How are you? All right. One last one with this dark green lateral line. Line up. Depending on what part of the live you came from, or if you're new, I'll kind of explain the next step just because. So the next step is what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the lures inside of the mesh and run that dark green right over the top and give you guys that look what I was talking about earlier, where the actual lateral lines themselves will run into that dark green and fade away to give it, to me, more of a realistic look versus the lines just running straight to the top. So we're going to do a dark green over the top, right along that line there. All right. Front of the head all the way to the back. My PSIs are at about 30, and I am roughly 2 inches away from the lure itself. You can kind of see the difference now where the darkness went over the top versus where it hasn't on this side yet. You could just see all the lines. We're gonna heat set these real quick just to lock the color in place before removing them out of the mesh. All right. I should have turned my notifications off. I didn't notice that. Sorry about that loud noise. There they are. The lateral lines, for me personally, I don't think they need to be quote unquote perfect. Because when you look at the bluegill in some places, the lines are very faint or very noticeable, all depending on what angle you're holding them from. So like that one here, they look really faint. And then this next one I'm going to show you, it's a little bit bolder. And on screen, it looks a whole lot bolder in comparison to me holding it and looking at it from right here. Now, what I'm going to do is continue with that green, but I'm going to go over the top of the bait itself, down from the front end all the way to the back, right over where the white is at in the top. And what that's going to create is basically sealing it off and giving it its dark top. When I do like a realistic look for lures, I try to stay away from using jet black unless it is super required. A few realistic lures that I use jet black for would probably be like a shad, a bass. All depends on what color scheme I go with, and then of course the ear of the bluegill, that's gonna always be black. All right, so I'm gonna stick this to the side real quick. I do have one more I need to put lateral lines on, but I'm not gonna make you guys watch me do that. I'll do it later. All right, so we're gonna get this bluegill out of the way, just off to the side slightly. And I appreciate you, sir. Yeah, man, I'm always out on the water. I always invite people. I always try to link up even with other content creators, subscribers, and just people out fishing. I just, me, myself, enjoy the outdoors. And Oh, the tip dried up. Yeah, I am all about nature, man. I don't do the hunting part. That part I don't really like. Nothing against it for the people who do it. I've been a few times. So what I'm doing also is I'm spraying just a little darkness around the front of the face above the eye. If you ever decide to take a good look at a fish when you hold him up, for some odd reason, most freshwater fish have darkness around the eye. Then another thing that I was doing when I'm going over the top on the actual fins on the top, I hide what I call mistakes, where the mesh is hitting this fin, so it looks like scale patterns when it shouldn't. So I'll take the darkness and then run it right in this area to create that fade. And some bluegills, if you ever look at them underwater, which is odd, you can't see it out of the water, they have blue on the actual fins. I think I may do that to these. I'm not 1,000% sure. I've done it to a few of my older bluegill patterns, but I know for sure I'm not going to do it on these, mainly because they're white. And what I usually do is I will take these off with if the body was clear, just to give it that see-through look. I personally think that kind of looks a lot better. Not saying that I am running out of green fast, man. Okay. The compressor is also a Badger. It is doesn't say. It just says Badger on the side. I think they only sell one model, and it's been one model forever. And it literally looks like let's say for instance, you look up compressors, and on the Amazon, and you see that gray one that comes like in a kit. It looks like that, but it's boxed or inside of a quiet box. It makes the noise not nearly as pronounced, and it says Badger on the side. But I've had it for over 14 years, and it works. I have an actual website, and it's called itmustbethebait.com. And I think I'm gonna knock off $10 from the original price that is on the site, just because I haven't did a discount on anything other than the reels that are on there. So we'll see. I'll know for sure after January the 10th. Oh, you might actually see on the website the other patterns that I've done with the blue and the actual top of the fin that I was referring to. Okay, this is the last one. Appreciate you looking. Yeah. If you look at the reel repair maintenance part, those are all of the reels that I actually own and customized. And those prices are not the reels. That is the customization price with all of the different stuff that has been done to make them as smooth as possible. And your outings are like, I could compare it to like my conventional reels where I will be like, man, I am like ready to go after 4 hours of throwing as hard as I can to get the bait to go as far as I can. But with those reels being customized, you can go out there and kind of light flick majority of your lures and get the max of distance out of them. And then there's just some of the cosmetic stuff. It's a lot of people in the small game fishing world like to customize their reels or get them customized. I am one of those people who do that as well. On top of this, and I make rods. So all of that stuff on the site is all custom based related stuff. And then I have some plain reels that some people like to buy. They don't want the customizations. So I actually need to put some more reels on there. They're at the house. I need to take pictures and post them. All right, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and knock this one out real quick. Just because I had a cap of green left and didn't want to waste it. This is the last one. Throw these lateral lines on it real fast. This is not my full-time job. My full-time job is tattooing. And when I have downtime, instead of just like painting pictures and murals and stuff, I like fishing. So I'll do this instead of the standard thing that tattoo artists do. Nothing against that. I used to do that, and then I realized I came across a friend over 14 years ago, and he was airbrushing lures. He came in and got his lures tattooed on him, and I was like, yo, you got to show me how you did that. And he brought some of his lures in, and it's been downhill, or I would say uphill now, ever since. I've been painting mine or other people's blanks for around that time. He did say to me recently, he said, if you want to make this a full-time gig, you got to get your own lures themselves versus painting somebody else's blanks. A lot of the swim bait guys are into custom lures as well versus buying a mass-produced swim bait per se. Now the only issue with that for me is I make rods. The rod part is a little bit of a longer process. You gotta pick your poison, I guess you would say. You want to do rods or you want to do lures? And I went the rod route. All right, I'm gonna heat set this real quick. Okay. Oh yeah, man. Oddly, I tattoo downward versus like a person's like sitting and hitting them straight on. I kind of lay them to their side, which is weird, but always did it that way. Now I've been tattooing way longer than I've been airbrushing, so. All right, heat set, and I'm gonna crack these out of here and crack this one because there's only one left and do the darkness. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Show you guys real quick. The scales, dark to light. So I did an inverted look where in most cases, a lot of people take the dark and put it down first and then run the light over it so that the scales would look dark or the scale line underneath versus it looking dark. All right, so I'm gonna just no, I can't finish this in my hand. Where the heck is the helping hands at? I was getting ready to finish this There we go. I'm gonna lock this bad boy in. All right, so that is the final look of all 10. Well, that's not the actual final look. It's just the final step for that bait. This is actually what they will look like done. Yeah, once I finish the expo, I'll start working on the rods, but I have to get through all of these lures first before January the 10th. The fun part about these lures is putting the hooks on and just getting those squared away. I am actually going to get ready to roll. It is 1:40 Eastern time, and I have to go do some errands. Today was technically my day off from all kinds of work, but I decided to come in and knock out as much as I could real quick. I had an hour to kill, and appreciate you all for watching. I shall be back tomorrow, depending on what my appointment scheduling book looks like. If I have downtime, I will jump in and airbrush live. Until next time, peace out. Spray. This thing, boy.